My name is Tendron. That's Tendron. So I'm a Buddhist nun. I've been a nun for 16 years, I guess. Is that right? Something like that. Anyway, I took one of the advanced study programs at Kinracy Institute in Australia. Called the basic program. What a misnomer. But it's really basic compared to the Geshe studies. So that's, why I can sit here and fumble through the teachings for y'all. So this is the first night of the second Discovering Buddhism module out of 13 modules. So it's a great night to be here. So this is the how to meditate. Why are y'all here? Yeah, I mean, I kind of know why you're here in general, but yes, why don't you show up for a how to meditate class, Anthony?
Well, to seek to reduce my own personal discomfort.
To reduce your own personal discomfort with meditation, or just in general?
In general.
Okay.
Yeah, and to help others do the same.
Okay. And help others do the same. Who else? Ron, why are you here?
I want to further my practice, my very basic practice.
Okay, very good. Yes. Somebody raised that. Yes.
I didn't raise my hand, but I'll speak because I have difficulty meditating.
Okay, fair enough. Good. It's a good place to be.
Right.
Someone else had their hand up. Yes.
So I can have feedback so I don't get too far in the wrong direction.
Great. So you can have feedback. Is that really good reason?
To control all the noise and voices in my head.
Okay. You might find out that that's not exactly how we go about it, but we do learn how to tolerate all that stuff a little better. So, anything else come to mind? It helps me just kind of get a sense. How many people have meditated before? Okay. All right. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So anyway, so what I'm going to try to convey is a little bit about how Buddhist meditation is done in the Tibetan tradition, and specifically in the Gelug system of Tibetan Buddhism. And I'm being precise because we have access to just a ton of material these days on meditation, that come from all sorts of different points of view. And, so I'm not going to really speak to those. That's not my area of knowledge. My job is to help explain what the system the FP&T stands for the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. So it's, our purpose is to not lose the teachings that as they're presented in the Tibetan system. And it just happens to 4 schools of Tibetan Buddhism. And one of them is the Gelug system. So that's what we're in. So anyway, none of that's important. You won't really have to know that for the test here in Japanese. So, but some of the meditations may seem quite different to you if you've been in traditional, say, Zen meditation groups or just relaxation, stress, reduction type groups. So the meditation in Tibetan Buddhism is more of a technique to become more aware, as opposed to the good news is a side effect of meditation is that it helps you be more relaxed as well. but the goal is to become more aware, more awake. So, so one of the things that we talk about is posture, so that we stay alert during meditation, so things like that. So those might come from a different angle than what you may be used to. And I have to step on it. All right. Well, I'm going to clean up my computer screen before you have to put up with it. I have everything open. Does everybody know where the bathrooms are? Go down this hall. We try to kind of be a little bit quiet in this hallway because we can hear you in this room because it's right outside that door, and the class next to us, it's an actor's class, is next to us. And so when we talk in the halls, both classrooms hear it. So just so you're aware of that. So every now and then we'll hear them when they start their class. So it's one of those situations where we learn how to deal with that. So, okay. So this class is, I think, 4 sessions. It's really should look at a calendar. But anyway, so the techniques we'll learn in this class are ones that you can use throughout the whole Discovering Buddhism series, if you so choose, you know. So we're just trying to give you a taste of different types of meditation styles that may help you in your practice. It's gotten tilted. I don't know how to do anything about that. I don't know why it's so tilted.
The screen is not flat.
It's always been slanted. It just somehow
tilted.
it is tilted. It's tilted on purpose on this side. But it's never. This is a new problem. I just don't know how you do that. But it's got way off from. Oh, I know what I can do. I have power here. How's that? Does that work? Okay, sometimes we're not so bright. Okay. We'll try again. Okay. So meditation is a discipline where you cultivate certain familiarity with a chosen object of meditation. So the idea in meditation is that one of the reasons it's so useful is once you develop some skill in meditation, it helps you be able to meditate on what you choose to meditate on. Right now, in general, our mind pulls us in all kinds of directions. And, you know, we just follow whatever is arising in the mind. Meditation is an attempt to learn how to choose your object of mind and stay there. So you can stay there in 2 different ways. You can stay there with single pointed or placement meditation, where you literally are trying to, you know, like breath meditation. You're trying to keep your focus on the breath, you know, and not chase after the stories arising in your head. Or you can use analytical meditation, where you take something like compassion and you look, you know, and you analyze why compassion might be a good quality of mind, and what would be the disadvantages of not having compassion, and what would be the advantages of being able to cultivate compassion so that you can include more and more beings within your circle of compassion. But you don't stray away to other topics while you're trying to reflect on compassion. So both types of meditation are meant to help us stay on task, so to speak. But that if you don't, but placement meditation, single pointed meditation is where you really develop that discipline of being able to bring your mind back again and again to the object of your meditation. Any questions so far? So familiarity, this idea you're becoming familiar with the object you've chosen. So you're becoming familiar with the benefits of compassion, the disadvantages of not having compassion, you look at your own experience perhaps, and you kind of see, where you've fallen in with regard to the teachings. So you become more familiar with it. Right now, what are our minds familiar with?
Fear.
Fear, okay. Mm-hmm.
Chaos.
Chaos. Yeah. Worry, anger, past and future. So we spend an awful lot of time actually not where we are. We spend a lot of time in the future, a lot of time in the past, and a minuscule amount of time in what's happening right now. So meditation can help us change that. It's the method for transforming the mind. And only your mind. Taking meditation will not help you change your partner, your kids, your friends, your coworkers, the cashier at the grocery store. This is an inner process that's about your own stuff, your own habits of mind. But you really do want to cultivate through this course, as you think about meditation or what maybe the advantages is, you're not particularly thinking about meditation, but the goal of meditation is being more aware of your habits of mind so that you can choose whether you want to follow a particular habit or not. So you become much more aware of what's going on in that hand anyway. And from that, you get to choose which ones you want to continue to practice and which ones perhaps you want to change. So. Just to be able to say stop to the thought when you want, to say stop to the emotions when you want, to have that capacity to be master of your own mind is a source of well-being. So Venerable Renee is one of the monks in the FBMT and is often a meditation teacher. He's done a few long retreats, 3 years, 6 years, and he's a really wonderful meditation teacher. If you ever get a chance, on YouTube, look for it. He leads nice meditation. His name is Renee something. Fusey. Fusey. Renefeusi. So, but this is the idea that the more we become aware of what's going on in our mind, how we're thinking, the more we observe our mind, the more we're able to go, I'm not listening to that. What my mind is telling me to do is not helpful. So we can learn how to interrupt the habit and actually stop it in its tracks. Because right now, our habits of mind kind of push our energy in certain directions. All our actions of body, speech, and mind are really driven by our states of mind. if we want to become in charge of how we feel, or whether we're suffering or having good experiences, one place we really want to look is how we're thinking. So meditation is primarily concerned with caring for the mind. Although our body and mind are intimately related and interconnected, they are quite different types of phenomena. Our body is an object we can see with our eyes, but not so with the mind. So this is one of the things that, to think about. I mean, the fact that you showed up here for a class on meditation means there's a part of you that gets the fact that taking care of your mind might be a very good thing to do. So you want to remember that in the morning when you're thinking about skipping the meditation. Or you're thinking, that this is how we can care for our mind. We might go to the gym, or go for a walk, or go for a bike ride, or go for a swim for our bodies. Meditation is a way to take care of our mind. It's a way to prepare us. I mean, one of the reasons we take care of our bodies is so that we can withstand the challenges of life. Because the better we feel physically, the more energy we have to handle things that come up. You try to avoid being sick or whatever, and to avoid feeling up and down because we're not eating right, so our blood sugar is going all over the place, all these things. Taking care of our physical body helps us with life. But we're missing probably the most important piece, which is taking care of the mind. The mind is the think of it this way. When you've had, say your vacation starts in 4 hours and you're all ready to go. You're packed, your car is packed, you're all ready to go, and you're just finishing up work. And you're leaving as soon as you get out of work. How much bothers you then?
You said how much bothers you?
Yeah, when you're excited about your trip and your everything. Why?
Because you want to be able to focus on your trip and your vacation and all these other things are getting.
How dare work get in the way? So yeah, that's one way that it can kind of set your tone, because you have something better coming. So you're focused on that. The other way you might respond is that nothing at work bothers you because you're getting ready to leave. So you're just sort of not fussed by anything. It's sort of like, oh, well, I'm sure we can handle that when I get back, or y'all will figure it out on Monday. I won't be here. Oh, gee, sorry. But, so, we need to start recognizing how our mental attitude, because we already know this. It's not like we don't know this, that if we're in a particularly great mood, these small annoyances don't seem to annoy us so much. And if we're in a really terrible mood, small annoyances become great big annoyances. So we want to, so meditation helps us to start getting familiar with our habits of mind, our attitudes, so that we can observe them when they're going on in the moment. We can start to recognize the that we actually have a choice. I mean, right now, how many of you do you feel like you have a choice over what arises in the mind? You. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
And so the Buddha just really emphasized that taking charge of your mind is completely doable. It's not, we are not born a certain way with a certain kind of mind and that we're doomed forever to have that kind of mind. In Buddhism, it's just taught that every moment of mind is a dependent arising from a previous moment of mind. So just like you plant an apple seed, and if all the right conditions are there, eventually you get an apple tree. And if even more conditions are there, you might even get apples at some point, you know? So the mind is the same way. If we give our minds all the conditions that it needs to be positive, to be skillful, to have wisdom, to be kind, to be compassionate, then that can happen. That right now, we have been practicing, according to Buddhism, since beginningless time, so that's a very long time, you know, habits of mind that aren't particularly skillful, like anger and jealousy and envy and greed and impatience and worry, anxiety, fear. So we want to be able to start noticing these things and discovering that we can actually, like I said, interrupt a habit and start a new one. So when we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch an object, it's the mind that knows that object. So according to Buddhism, your eyes, it has an awareness with it. It knows, ears, all our senses have an awareness associated with it. It knows its object through a direct perception of it. So your ear hears sound, it knows it directly. Your eyes, know shape and color. Your tongue knows taste. Your body has tactile awareness. It knows rough and smooth, things like that. What other sense? And then your mind, then you have the mental, but they're all states of mind. So the mind knows an object. That's its function. When we think about concepts or memories or ideas or dreams or, when we're just thinking happy thoughts, all of those things are functions of our mental awareness. They're not direct. We're thinking about objects. And they might be abstract objects like love or compassion. Or we may just be thinking about, what color is my room so I can remember what color curtains I want to buy, So, but those also are not direct. We're thinking about the object. So those are conceptual. Yeah, let me shrink it. Is it all there now? My neck doesn't really turn that much. Okay. So it's the mind that thinks, feels, dreams, meditates. So, the ears that hear sounds, it's the nose that smells, that's the other one. Okay. So the mind, by definition, you finished this, right?
Yes.
It's clear and knowing, mere clarity and awareness. It is non-physical. Its physical support is the brain, but it's not the brain. The function of the mind, know and experience objects. That's what it does. So clear and knowing just means that, what does it mean, Anthony? Both these Anthony's just going to test on this. This was one of the questions.
Clarity refers to its nature as pure light, meaning that it reflects its state of mind, so it doesn't actually, it's not changed by them.
Okay.
And awareness refers to its ability to know and experience the objects through senses.
So,
Be careful with my word choice.
would you add anything to that?
It's just direct perception of the thing or object as it is.
Clarity, yes, it has this quality. The mind reflects, but it reflects whatever we put in it. Okay, So it reflects the objects we look at, it reflects the sounds we become attentive to, but it also, so if we're thinking about stuff and we have incorrect ideas, it's going to reflect that. So it's really that garbage in, garbage out, So if you read a lot of junk books and read a lot of women's magazines, it's my little personal pet peeve, and, read a lot of murder mysteries, that's also one of my, bad habits, or watch a lot of violent, TV or angry TV, these things get reflected in your mind. The mind is never damaged by the way we think. In other words, the capacity of the mind, you can remove all your incorrect states of mind because the mind just reflects. And a mistaken state of mind, once it's corrected, doesn't arise anymore. Like when you see a rope and you think it's a snake, and you go, ugh, when you know it's a rope, you just don't make that mistake anymore. It doesn't frighten you because you know it's a rope. So this is the kind of changes we can make in our mind. And meditation is one of our tools to be able to do that. So it's just important to understand that the Buddha's presentation of the mind is that it's non-physical. It's very dependent on the physical support. So a mosquito's mind isn't so skillful because it has a really lousy physical support. A human mind is vastly superior, to the mosquito's mind. So we can do a lot because our mind is really strongly supported by sophisticated physical support. So, but they're not the same thing, according to Buddhism. Any questions about this? Yes.
What is meant by the aphorism, there is no seer or thing seen, only seen?
No, I have no idea. Yeah. Good luck with that. We have a similar one in the Tibetan tradition that's the greatest seeing is not seen. There's no seeing. I don't know. So maybe about the same, similar thing. It has to do with selflessness, and that's a pretty advanced place. And so we will look at meditations that deal with that, but we're probably not going to go into that particular subject because it's not talking about literally seeing. Okay, so it's about how we perceive how things exist, how we perceive ourselves to exist, and so it's a very important topic, but it's not where we are at the moment. Okay, we'll get back to that. So, if you think you can't meditate, you already do it a lot. Because meditation is just becoming familiar with an object. So when you get impatient, if you spend the time while once impatience arisen, thinking about all the reasons why you have every right to feel impatient, and is this, whatever it is you're waiting on, ever going, is the waiting ever going to end? You are meditating on impatience. If you do it when you're angry, if you do it when you're infatuated. Oh, I just read the best book. Everybody should read this book. And you tell everybody about the book and da-da-da-da-da-da, So we just have to look at our habits of mind. So we don't have to worry. You're not learning a new skill with meditation. You're just learning how to skillfully choose what you meditate on. And to start recognizing that meditating on anger or impatience or greed or depression or lack of self-worth or all these other things that we practice is not skillful. It's not getting us where we would like to go, which won't be, I don't know where you'd like to go. I'd like to be more peaceful and more happy and less uptight and worried and neurotic. And a list of probably 84,000 other things. So, all right. So all of these things, it's just about becoming familiar with your object. But now you want to choose what object you're becoming familiar with, and you want to train your mind to stay on that object because you told it to. Is that making sense? This is all it is. It's taking an object of mind again and again, familiarizing our mind with it, habituating our mind with it. That is meditation. So if you practice anger, you've probably been meditating on it for a long time. What I call rehearsing it. Like as if I need to get any better at it. So we want to recognize our unskillful meditations and start replacing them with more skillful meditations. So every moment of mind has an object. So the object of a mind in meditation is whatever you instruct it to focus on. So the starting point is often the breath. Or you might meditate on an image. Or you might meditate on the mind, the quality of the mind itself. And we'll be doing all, those types. Okay, so in fact, we'll try now. We'll see if our neighbors are in a quiet part of their class. So when you're starting to meditate, if you meditate on a chair, the main thing is to sit up straight, have your feet either flat on the floor, on a cushion, as opposed to dangling, and you can either sit away from the back of the chair or use the support of the chair, but trying to keep, your spine in alignment. Okay. And then so you also, you can keep your chin tucked slightly, so you're kind of looking downward, a little bit in front of you. Your hands can be placed in your lap with your right hand on top of the left. This is the Tibetan technique. And then your thumbs touching. If that drives you crazy, you can just rest your hands in your lap, whatever you're used to. But the purpose of it is the purpose of the posture is to keep all the subtle energy in the body moving. And so you touch your thumbs so that you have a connection, a circular kind of connection. But it's, it's a beginner. So you can keep your eyes closed or gently open. It's recommended that you keep them gently open because it kind of helps you become accustomed to tolerating whatever comes into view and not following it. It also can help you stay awake. So just sit up straight, lower your eyelids where you're comfortable. And first just kind of scan your body with your mind and see if there are any points of tension. Maybe you realize you're holding your jaw tight or your shoulders or around your ears. And take a few belly breaths into filling up your chest and letting that breath ease the tension. Try to soften your face. Just kind of keep the area around your eyes relaxed, your jaw relaxed. And just let your breath go in and out naturally. put your attention on the sensation of the movement of the breath going in and out of your body, either at the tip of your nose or the rise and fall of your belly. When you catch yourself thinking about something other than that movement of the breath, just gently bring your mind back to the breath. It doesn't matter if thoughts arise. Just learning not to follow them. And we do that by anchoring our mind on the breath. The more we feel pulled away from the breath, we just try to really focus on that sensation. The movement long or short, quick or slow. And again, just bring your attention to your body sitting here. Scan your body. Be aware of the pressure of the chair, the cushion against your legs, the temperature of the room against your skin, the sound of the air condition, the sound of our neighbors. The awareness that there are others sitting here. And then just gently open your eyes. So when you start learning how to meditate, meditations can be very, very short because you want to not struggle. You want to come back to trying to meditate, feeling like, okay, I think this is doable, not, oh my goodness, this was so difficult. So is it difficult to follow your breath? Do you even have a clue what that means? Do you ever go in and go, what do they really mean by that? Or do you know what I'm talking about? or whatever. Hmm? It's difficult for you. What seems to be an obstacle? It just wants to go somewhere else. Yeah. Did anybody else find that? Yeah, that's what we do, isn't it? We're just, the mind is constantly thinking up stuff. We have a lot of things which we try to remember and blah, 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 but we're just accustomed to following it wherever it goes. So the purpose of learning how to anchor your mind on your breath is to just develop that discipline. Eventually, when you're able to hold it for a little while, the mind will naturally settle, and become a little more peaceful and calm. And you'll find you will still be thinking, but you won't be pulled so forcefully away from your chosen object. But literally, they say that when we're first trying to concentrate on our object, the first sign of success is when you can hold your mind on the object for what? One breath. Second, I think, and like if like 13 seconds is considered really good. So don't be discouraged. Because it really is about, just like you're trained now to follow your thoughts, you can train yourself to not follow your thoughts. But it's going to take practice, and it's going to take this willingness to sit with all that distraction and keep pulling you back to the breath. Okay?
But it's so much easier to have your eyes open and focus on something that you can see.
Yeah, ease is not really what we're about.
Right. Right. But when you were talking about breathing, if I knew anatomically how my breath moved in my body and could visually see that, then I feel like I could focus more.
But that's just a story you're telling yourself. It's because this isn't about the getting it precise about your breath. What it's about is telling your mind what to do. So whether or not, it's helpful to get, you're becoming really familiar with your breath. So you notice, I use the tip of my nose. You'll notice sometimes it feels cool, sometimes it feels warm, sometimes I'm a really shallow breather, sometimes there's a really long space, but time from my inhales and exhales. Sometimes there's a really distinctive pause at the end of an inhale or an exhale before the next whatever part of the process is. And then there are times when it's almost not there. That's how the sensation isn't very strong, but there's still obviously movement in the body because the winds of the body are still happening. But you don't have to worry about being precise about it. That might be a tool you use later, but it's at this stage it's really just about being able to keep connecting with the breath. It's helpful with, yeah, go ahead, Hannah.
I'm thinking it's holding your mind on the breath and just observing. Well, you tell us to observe the inhale and the exhale.
Or the sensation of the movement.
So it's just trying to keep the mind focusing just that instead of all the other things that the mind wants to do.
Right. So think of it this way. If you've got a toothache, how easy is it to focus on it?
You don't even pay attention to other people. It's just all
Right. It's all you do. We want to be able to tell our mind that we want to focus like that on an object like choosing. And it really, really helps when you have a toothache, because then you can choose not to pay attention to it. Because we all know focusing on it doesn't help. You know, it's just like, then you're just begging for it to end. So, yes.
I'm just thinking, I've been meditating in the morning
Mhm.
for like 30 minutes for a few years.
Okay.
But now when I'm listening to this, would it make sense to meditate throughout the day? If you're training your mind, the more you're doing, the more brain connections you're making it instead of once a day.
Yes, I mean, there's no doubt about it, especially when you're trying to develop just this ability to settle the mind and focus like on the breath. So doing it periodically through the day, first of all, will probably help your day. Because if nothing else, you are actively trying to shut all the inputs that are coming in out for a minute. You know, you're kind of, you know, to me, it's, I've been using this idea this summer for some reason. It really reminds me of when I was a kid and I liked to sit on the bottom of the swimming pool. You know, and so all the, yeah, you can't do that very long, right? You know, but all the sounds are muted, you know, you really just, you know, so it's just this kind of, I don't know, stillness. And so that's very helpful throughout the day. So if you have a few minutes at lunchtime, or, you know, to sit quietly and using the breath as your focus, we need every moment of mind has an object. So giving it an object that isn't a story, that's automatic. You know, one thing we can always do is, oh, good, it's still there. It's still breathing, because we're literally, you know, one in-breath away from death. Okay, that's what's going to be the marker. Oh, no breathing in. Okay, so, you know, the breath is actually, you know, convenient. We carry it with us wherever we go. There's a sensation to it, so it's easy to find, you know, so it's handy. So it's just this, but it has this effect by focusing in on something that isn't, it doesn't require any conceptual thought, you know, that you can just observe it. Really can give you energy because it's restful. It's incredibly peaceful to do that for a few minutes. So, and then perhaps, you know, I mean, I'm certainly not going to discourage you from your 30 minutes of meditation, but you might use a portion of your 30 minutes of meditation on analytical meditation to start really exploring, you know, things about the states of mind you have that are not helping you know, and start really looking at how can I change that? What's an approach to that? And you can do analytical meditation.
I've been trying to do that throughout the day.
Yeah, but we do that all day, yes. And that's true. But there's something different about when you're not in the moment where you can reflect back. So you have some distance, like standing back and, you know, watching a movie, you know, so that has an advantage. Okay. So we'll talk more about that. But yes, I mean, you don't, especially when you're beginning and you're just doing a few minutes, you know, it really is a good idea that every time you can just sit quietly for a few minutes to grab that opportunity, you know, because it's very restful. I mean, it's annoying too when you can't, you know, but then I practice in patience a lot. So of course I find that annoying. So what I call it, I don't know who I got this from, but bookends for all of our activities, in particular bookends for your day. So it's really good idea to start your day with a motivation, because it's taught in Buddhism that motivation is really the key factor to determine whether an action or not is going to be skillful and lead to happiness or be unskillful and lead to suffering. It's the why behind what we choose to do. So, it's really helpful to revisit your motivation every morning about what's important to you about life, so that you don't get carried away with all the chores of life and forget the people. Or you do all this stuff to take care of your body, but you forget to take care of your mind. So if you spend a little time, and of course, once it's a habit, it doesn't take long. It's more of just, then it just becomes, oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to have a busy day at work, but I don't want to lose sight of the people I work with, or the reason I do this work, or the people I help with this work, all of this stuff. So you want to recenter yourself every morning with remembering what's important to you. And you can look at it. If this was, if tonight you discovered this was your last day, do you want to look back on it thinking, wow, all I do is regret how I spent my last day? And part of that is just because we just get pulled around by all of our to-do lists. So we want to create a mental to-do list so we don't forget what's really important to us. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Mahayana motivation that, in the Buddha's path, we're trying to, develop the motivation that wants to reach enlightenment so we can benefit all beings. But we start where we are. So, in the end of the day, or end of any activity, you remember your motivation at the beginning of the activity, and you dedicate any positive, if you created any positive energy at all, you dedicate the results of that positive energy to be a benefit for others. And one of the good things about doing this practice, particularly at the end of the day, is it gives you an opportunity to rejoice about what you did well. About, I did remember to speak kindly to my coworkers. I did remember to bring that, whatever, to so-and-so who couldn't get to the store because her partner's sick. It's hard to make these things up as you go, but you know what I mean. So, but we don't do a lot of that. We forget to rejoice. We just focus on what we do wrong or what we haven't done at all, what we're worried about, as opposed to what perhaps we're making some progress with, or even just noticing all the good qualities we already have. So it's not like when we want to change our unskillful habits that all our habits are unskillful. That's not correct. We have a lot of good habits that are wonderful and we want to do more of. So, but we don't notice that. We tend to notice just what's kind of slacking. So we want to break that habit and start rejoicing over what we did well. And guess what? You can rejoice about everything you saw that other people did. Like not throwing their computer out the window. So, this is the good news. The more we rejoice about positive things, whether we do them or someone else does them, the more positive our frame of mind is. So it's a helpful thing to do. And it counters jealousy. So that we're not envious that, somebody else is, so skilled at this and why aren't we that skilled, or we wish we were that skilled. And so instead of beating ourselves up for not matching, somebody else's ability, we just be happy for their So, we trade one unskillful habit for a much more skillful habit and be happy. So one of the things, like, I don't know about you guys, When I watch the news, I find it some days I'm fine, some days I tolerate it very well. Other days I am just like, oh, So I turn it off. But then you think about that at that same moment that news stories are going on or whatever was happening on the news was going on, that think about all the teachers out there teaching someone, all the people out there helping somebody with some chore they have to do that they can't do alone, all the people out there smiling, all the people out there, teaching someone how to do something that they really want to know how to do, all the people doing something for someone that they can't do themselves. You would never run out of examples. Think of all the health personnel, all the joy of watching children. There's just innumerable good things happening all the time. I mean, it's 100% guaranteed. You don't have to worry about it. It absolutely is happening. It's just you have to notice. Not to forget that yes, there are all these horrible things that also go on, but they don't outweigh the good things. The majority of people, feel, are safe. So these things are good news. So at the end of the day, we want to recognize how we contributed to that. All of our smiles, all our helpful things that we've done or said or that, or all those times we refrain from doing something unskillful, or we recognize, oh, I don't want to say that. That would be hurtful, and you don't say it. This is a positive direction. And so we want to be happy about those things and get really good at noticing. So, and it'll make, it makes going to sleep a more positive activity. The 7-point meditation posture, the formal posture. So this is Lama Yeshe meditating on a beach either in California or Australia. Lama Yeshe is the founder of the FPMT, the organization of centers that we're a member of. He died in 1984. So this is the, unless you're like 6, you might not be able to do this. Especially in our culture, because we sit on chairs, we sit on couches instead of squatting, so our legs are kind of useless. But okay, so ideally, we would sit with our legs crossed in Vajra position. That means I think in yoga they call it the lotus position. That means with your top of your feet actually resting on the opposite thigh. So, or the half Vajra. I actually sit in Burmese where both of my feet are on the floor. So one foot is on the floor and then the other one, so they're not on either leg. So, and I'm amazing comfortable this way. It's weird. So then the hands, like I said, you put them in your lap around your navel, with the right hand on top, with the palms upwards, thumbs touching, and arms away from the body. That's because if you meditate for a long time, it gets hot. The back is straight. Your eyes are partly open with your gaze downward. Your mouth is closed, but not, your teeth aren't clenched. You really try to just close your mouth with it being kind of relaxed. And then you put your tongue at the back of, your top teeth. Not getting hard. Again, if you're meditating for a long time, this helps with your saliva just going back down your throat. Isn't that attractive? So, in your head, the neck sort of bent, not like this, and not slumped, but just, your back straight and you're kind of looking down, that kind of alert, awake posture. The reason why this is described as the proper posture is because it's a very stable posture to hold. If you're able to do it, your body doesn't, you're just stable. That's what they tell me, because I've never been able to do this posture. You want the cushion you sit on, you kind of sit to the front of it so that your back is, higher than your front, so you're a little bit slip. But you have to find what's comfortable for you. It's also helpful, like even when you sit, I find it very helpful to sort of rock a little bit, to get settled. And that's true on a chair too. I mean, I just, the main thing is you want your chest sort of open so your breath moves and your back straight. And this keeps, all your subtle energies in the body, all the winds and channels and all those things they talk about in yoga, that we can't see, but according to the great yogis, exist. And so this idea of touching helps keep all of that in balance. But don't worry too much. When I first started meditating, I was sitting on a chair. I had to get hit by a car to start meditating on that cushion. I was a pedestrian. I got hit putting something in a Tigger mug, to be precise, into the trunk of my car. It's a Christmas present from my brother. And I couldn't sit on a chair because I'd get dizzy. So I started sitting on the floor. So it was the positive side effect. Okay, so the two types of meditation, there are lots of different styles of meditation. You have visualization meditations, you have glance meditations, you have light, where you're really bringing in, the quality of light. But they come under two categories. Mainly, it's either that you're trying to develop your concentration, you're trying to hold your focus on an object. So when that's the case, the object you're not thinking about the object, you're holding the object one-pointedly. Then you have analytical meditation, where you're reflecting on a topic. So basically, in Buddhism, it's taught you need to listen, contemplate, and meditate. So you listen to the teachings, then you think about them. You really reflect on them. You look at your experience in life. You think about them some more. You kind of test them out in the world and look at them, or you just try to understand the words. You're just trying to really make sure you understand the words. And then, when you feel like you do have an understanding, then you meditate on it. So you bring sort of that quality of stillness to look at it. And as you meditate on compassion, you might find that you have a new experience of it. And when that arises, you quit thinking about it and just experience that. So you use the two types of meditation together. But you start with analytical meditation because it's what, causes these experiences at this stage of the game to arise. But in the meantime, we have to cultivate our concentration, our focus, so that we have that ability when we have these experiences with analytical meditation. So calm abiding is sort of the premier concentration. It's a state of concentration where you can hold your object of focus for as long as you want, in whatever way you want. You don't have to be sitting in meditation, As soon as you focus on an object, you're there with no distractions at all. That's what they say. Yes.
I get the point of the single point in meditation, but on the analytical meditation, I get confused. Is that actually a contemplation?
It's after the contemplation. Technically speaking, it's after the contemplation. So you contemplate, you really think about all these things and look at it, but then you come to some sort of conclusion. You feel like you've understood the teaching, the words, the subject matter, and then you put a much more concentrated focus on all the parts of it. Like, let me try to come up with an example. Hmm?
Do compassion,
Do compassion. Okay.
analyze it,
Okay.
and then you rest.
Okay. So, like, for example, you might read the teachings on compassion, and there's a technique that is taught that can help you cultivate compassion. It's called the 7-point method. So, you basically start with the foundation of it is equanimity. And so, what equanimity says is that you learn to look at all living beings as being the same, as opposed to what we do now, and we label them friends, strangers, or people we don't get along with, or enemies in the classic terms. So we really look at, well, what does it mean to say someone's my friend? So the teachings say, well, what it really means is that they do things for you, that you like them, you enjoy spending time with them, maybe you have the same kind of opinions, maybe they have a car you'd like to borrow, whatever. There in some way you see them as helpful to you. Strangers are just people who don't help you or hurt you. They pretty much have no impact on your life at all. And then enemies are people you feel harm you in some way, whether you just don't get along with them, or they just annoy you, or you feel like they're trying to take your job, whatever version of that. Well, that's again something done to you. That's how you perceive it. So enemies are people who are harming you, or they're harming that circle of mind, like friend, like my family, my children, my job. So you look at all the teachings on that. And so you look at how they talk about, it's just from my perspective, that everybody, all my friends could be somebody else's strangers. All my enemies could be somebody else's friends. That it really is just a point. And some of my friends are now my enemies, and some of my enemies are now my friends, and all of them were strangers once. And so we start to understand that the label is just from our point of view, that it doesn't actually change that this is just another sentient being who wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer. So you're thinking about all these things, you're reading these kinds of teachings and everything. And so then you kind of think, okay, I think I get it. And so then you sit with it. And you go through, friends, enemies, strangers, and really, just it's really just my point of view. Don't know how to explain it better than that, you're so familiar with the material now, you don't need to go back and look at the book. You're just now reviewing it in your mind, or even really looking at all the experiences you have that support this idea. And at some point, you may have a deeper understanding of what it means to have equanimity, or what it means to use labels like friend and stranger, and you might have some understanding of how those labels can get in the way of compassion. And if that arises, then you use your single pointed focus on that. So it's sort of like just graduated stages. Like, at this point, you may never get beyond what's actually contemplation. So, you might not actually fit the description of analytical meditation. Maybe that'll be 5 years from now or something. But the point is that it's a little less all over the place as it is when you're contemplating, when you're looking at the teachings, you look at this teaching and you're reading them, you're trying to get some sort of cohesion around the subject. But then when you do, then you sit with that more cohesive picture in meditation. But you continue your analysis of it. It's just less, it's just more cohesive. You're not searching anymore so much. You will do that again, but it's just, that you kind of like, okay, I've torn this paragraph to shreds, now I'm just going to sit with it. So you can also just sit with like the experience, like you have you bring a situation to mind that generates your compassion, and you just sit with that feeling. You don't do any analysis of it. You just read a story that moved your heart, and you just sit with that to try to cultivate, to keep that heart expanded. Yes.
So when would you suggest going from meditation where you're using your breath and letting your mind wander and come the first one to the end?
They're two different, when you're beginning. The breath meditation is just something you should do every day to start developing your concentration so that you can develop this ability to tell your mind what to focus on. So if you have time to also do a little bit of reflection on something you're reading or whatever, then you start with the breath meditation so that hopefully your mind does start to slow down a little bit, or you feel less pulled every which way. And then you could reflect on whatever.
Is that single pointed or analytical? That's single.
Okay.
That considered single pointed.
On the second part. The second part. Okay. Jargon, isn't it wonderful? So. Yeah, but that can get confusing too. So yes, so eventually people, knee cramp, sorry. That's what I kept saying, this is a comfortable position. Okay, it popped. All right, so when we use the breath meditation at the beginning of a session, a practice session, or a longer period of meditation, we use it to stabilize our mind. We're using it to settle our mind down so that we're starting our reflection from a more quiet place, calmer place, less distracted place, okay? When we're trying to develop our concentration, we can use the same object, the breath, but we're using it very specifically to try to train ourselves to listen to our instructions, to come back to the breath, okay? So you use both, you just want to cultivate both. You want to cultivate the ability to settle the mind before you contemplate a teaching. And you also want to more fully cultivate this ability to get your mind to listen to your instructions, which is single point focus. That's what that does.
Is that analytical the same thing as single pointed?
No, analytical is the opposite of single pointed. Yeah, I'm not explaining this well. It's really obvious.
No, it's just, I got confused with single pointed and analytical is.
Single pointed means you're on one point, and that's it.
And it's
And
not,
the point
it's
is
not
the
a
breath.
subject. It's not. Oh, okay.
It could be compassion, but I mean, when an easy beginning place is the breath.
Single pointed, the breath. Okay. That's single pointed. Okay.
Now just go ahead.
But after you do the analysis, you could go back to single pointed by focusing on the compassion, the essence of that.
Yeah, so if you have an experience of something arise and you feel like you're having one of those aha moments, then it's good to just stay there and not thinking about it. Just go ahead and just be there with that understanding.
And
Yes.
that would be the single pointed.
You're placing your mind on that experience then. So yes, that's getting back to that placement idea. And then when that feeling passes, you go back at the analytical. Does that make sense? Is that, yeah.
When you're doing the analytical part of it, you're thinking. Aren't you supposed to not think?
No, that's. I was just reading one of the main sort of textbooks in this tradition, and it spends like 4 chapters on why that's not correct. So.
I've always heard that you try to get to the space between your thoughts.
Yes, well, that's what concentration meditation can do. Placement meditation, single pointed meditation can do. And that is a skill we want, but it's not about not thinking. It's about recognizing there is space between thoughts. So if you don't like where your thoughts are going, you can interrupt it. You could go, not following this, It's like learning how to go, when I was trying to change my habit about guilt, I used to feel guilty about breathing, and so I was really, really working hard on it. And I was also trying to save my marriage. Obviously, that didn't work out. However, but I was just, what I had recognized, so that this one of those little aha moments was that guilt gave me permission to do nothing differently. Oh, I'm just a lousy person. I'm just this way. I'm feeling bad about it. It didn't actually make me do anything different. So every time my mind just went to feeling guilty about some unskillful word or unskillful thing, I'd have to tell myself, that's not helping. And I had to be very, very firm with it. As soon as my mind would go there, I'd have to just go, stop that. It doesn't help. Do you want to feel guilty or do you want to save your marriage? I mean, that's pretty much the only conversation I had for about 10 months. It's just, and so this is the kind, and so what that requires is really starting to notice you really can push back against this habit energy that's pushing you forward to do something the same old way. So being able to settle the mind down enough because you're watching your mind with your mind, it's equally fast. So it's really about not forgetting to look. It's not about trying to keep up with this mad race. You don't have to worry about that. You're completely capable because you're using the same faculty to keep up with it. It's really about getting skill and noticing what's going on in the mind so that you can just catch yourself, in when your energy's going away that you don't want it to go. And be able to go, okay, that's not a good idea. I'm not listening. Go away. Thank you for sharing. Not let me follow. That kind of thing. That's the kind of conversations I had to have. So it's all a style thing. I had to be very firm with my mind. So, but it's just this. So they're not contradictory. When you're picking one object of focus and trying not to follow all the ways your mind wants to go, and you just keep bringing your mind back, that is developing the skill of following your own instructions. It happens to have this nice side effect of settling the mind down. Doesn't mean you stop thinking, doesn't any of that. That's what the mind does, it thinks. So that's a really good question. So it's real, so it's more about then taking that skill of being able to stay on point and bringing it to subjects that you want to meditate on. So I was trying to learn the difference between regret and guilt when I was doing all that work. And trying to remember that guilt was just, in quicksand. And I needed to move on to just changing my behavior, my speech, and, everything else. So, but if I hadn't, kept focusing on, I've got to pay attention when I'm thinking, because how I'm thinking is affecting how I'm speaking and how I'm acting. So this is what we've got to be aware of, and this is a 24/7 exercise. But having formal, meditation session is a place to practice. Eventually, who cares if you can sit in meditation for 1 billion years? That's not why we do it. We do it so that when we get up, we can live our lives in the direction we want it to be. And if you've got this big view, as each of these Discovering Buddhism modules come, we start talking about things like no seeing and, about there's certain habits of mind that we have that are just incorrect. The way we think we see how things exist is just incorrect, according to the Buddha. And that when we can finally counter that and correct it, we won't have all these disturbing, ineffective, unskillful states of mind arising. In the meantime, these are skills we can develop to help us work on that. Questions? Okay. So this tradition, and I think in all the Buddhist traditions, I think sometimes we get the mistaken impression when we read some Zen literature that that people who are Zen practitioners don't study, and that's not correct. It's just a different emphasis and timing of when they do certain things. So, you see, we got through the first section of notes. All right. So, all right. So now let's do another little bit of meditation. Did everybody understand the purpose of that piece of paper that went around to get your email addresses? So I didn't do any kind of introduction because I just dove in. I do that sometimes. You have to remind me that I'm sorry, I have no clue what you're talking about. So,
We already put it on before, though.
yes, because I don't have you're not in my system other than, I have,
So every module.
put your, and because, well, as soon as I type the first three letters, my email will remember you, but, it's not like there's, anyway, I can stop now. Okay, so the purpose of that is to send the readings that are recommended for this course. Also, of course, I didn't bring a book in here. One of the books that's highly recommended, if you're going to take the test and try to tick all the boxes to say you completed this course, then you have to read it. So it's the book How to Meditate by Kathleen McDonald. We have several copies in the bookstore. There may be a couple of copies in the library, but it goes through all sorts of different types of meditations and has really nice explanations, and it gives you a nice little smattering of the different styles in Tibetan Buddhism. So, I'm sorry?
Can you tell us something about the author?
Venerable Sangye Kadro. She's been a nun about probably 40 years now. She wrote this book quite a while ago. She's the resident teacher in the center in Denmark now. She was at Amitabha Buddhist Center, Singapore for a long, long time. She's from the U.S. She's lovely. She's got a very quiet style. We're not remotely alone. So, but she knows her stuff.
So what's her name again? Can you repeat the name?
Her given name is Kathleen McDonald, and it'll be on the readings. It'll on the first page or second page of the readings list the suggested or required readings. That's the book. It comes in many covers. It's on its, I don't know how many printing, how much, I can't talk, what edition it is. But the first time I tried to teach a weekend course, she happened to be in Australia while I was there. And it was first published in 1984, I guess, when on the issue died. She knew how nervous I was, so she came and she gave me some of those Burt's Rescue Remedy drops for my tongue or something. I said, you know, I was surprised she even had them. I said, well, do you, you know, still get nervous when, you know, because she's been teaching for a long time. By this time, this was like 10 or 15 years ago. And she said, she goes, well, you know, when I go in and I have 2,000 people in the audience, sometimes I get a little nervous, you know, but other than that, they're really not. She also was one of the first people, she come through Raleigh. This was a few years before that. She was leading a meditation, and she was saying that, you know, she was giving a Shakyamuni Buddha meditation, and she went through the visualization. And she said, of course, if you just had sort of a sense of the color gold, that's good enough. And I thought, oh, thank goodness. Because I'm in trouble. That's not good enough. I'm sure I couldn't even see gold either. But anyway, so, but this just, like you said, this is a nice handy book to have. I think I have 2 copies. I'm greedy. So, okay. So did I explain what I started out to explain? So you get these readings by email. Okay. Not the book. Struggling here. Okay. So, okay, so we're going to try again with our So again, sit in a way that's comfortable but stable. So have your feet on the floor, have your hands resting in your lap. Try to keep your arms a little loose and away from your body. And just check that your back is straight. You could imagine that there's a string on the top of your head. You pull gently up. Have your eyes left open a little, but your gaze downwards. Your mouth and jaw are relaxed. Have your mouth closed and place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, but just gently. And then take a few belly breaths and let your body relax in this position. Let a feeling of relaxation develop on the top of your head. And imagine that relaxed feeling traveling down from the top of your head, through your face, your neck, and even think of your skull relaxing. Let the feeling of relaxation penetrate every cell, every atom, every particle of your head. Let it continue down to your neck, your throat, your shoulders. Let this relaxed feeling seep into your shoulders. And then let it travel down your whole back, letting it relax. And let the relaxed feeling travel down the front of your body, your chest, your tummy. Letting all the internal organs relax. All the muscles relax. And then allow the relaxed feeling to travel down your legs, upper part of your legs, your knees, and then the lower part of your legs and feet. Let your breathing be natural. And bring to mind a positive reason for doing the meditation. Have the wish that it be beneficial for yourself and others. Now focus your mind, your awareness on your breathing. You can focus the sensation at the tip of your nose. Or you can focus on the rise and fall of your belly. Just pick one or the other. Just watch the breath of this place, the movement. And every time you're dragged away, or every time you realize you've been dragged away, just gently bring your mind back to that sensation. Just let the thought breath arise and bring your mind back to the breath. Whatever your mind has become distracted by or involved with, the thoughts or the sounds or the feelings in your body. When you realize that has happened, just gently disengage your mind from those other objects and bring it back to the breath. So now relax your focus on your breath and scan your body once more. Reintroducing that relaxed feeling. Now remember the reason that you came up with at the beginning of the meditation. Just the effort you've done in trying to do this practice, according to Buddhism, is very beneficial for yourself and others. And this will be the cause of happiness in some future time. We want to share this happiness with others. So you can just think whatever little baby steps are taken towards developing concentration. way that's helped my mind be more peaceful, which can make my actions of body and speech more peaceful and ripple out to benefit others. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. So how many people feel when they try to relax, sleepy? That are common, and then, that's, so one of the things that you can do to kind of counter that is to open your eyes a little more, let the light in, and also kind of revisit your posture, kind of sit up straighter, and also just that reminder that there's a reason you're doing it. So, it's not like, you have to stop because you're sleepy or something, because we're sleepy all, often. So, of course it is a clue that we probably need more sleep, but, some of us might not be able to get that. So anyway, but it's this, like sometimes, you might have to have a chat with yourself and say, okay, this is how I've chosen to spend this 5 minutes. I have nothing else I need to do. Really give yourself permission to do it, and then also no excuse, just not do it. So, but it really is just just starting. Really, the discipline of meditation is showing up and doing it. It's not about how many times you have to remind yourself to go back to the breath. It can be 1,000 times a minute. That's not the point. The point is that you showed up and you're making an effort to notice when your mind's not on the breath, and you try to bring the mind back to the breath. Like just again and again and again. No need to be harsh with yourself or judge yourself or anything. Even experienced meditators will have occasions where their mind just won't stay put. So, it's not about a successful meditation. Showing up is a successful meditation. It's because it really is about developing a habit to take care of your mind, to spend some time taking care of your mind. And so with things like breath meditation, you really do want to start with short periods, and then so you might just have to be really forceful with your mind of going, okay, back to the breath, back to the breath. But but that's good enough. But don't force yourself to sit for 20 minutes doing that. Just do it for a few minutes and then gradually extend the amount of time. You also have to get used to sitting still. Yes.
What's your advice as far as physical things? Persevere? How much?
You really, yeah.
You tolerate?
Yeah. You have to kind of try to discern whether the pain is harming you in some way. There's certain things that, some people just can't do. Some people cannot sit cross-legged. Their knees will pop open or something, You have to know. So you don't need to try things. But if you're curious, if you can sit in, this kind of posture, it's, you might as well try. It's certainly a stable posture. So, but I think it's just a matter of being able to this is, something you just have to get to know yourself, over time. And that is to know when the pain is just trying to distract you or when you need to adjust your posture. So it's going to take some trial and error. There may be times when you go ahead and just change your posture and realize that didn't make you settle down. Your body just moved to something else to complain about. So you have to get familiar with your mind. You certainly don't, it's not like, this is not an exercise in self-torture. It's okay to reposition yourself and realize, I can't keep sitting this way, and change your position. But you also need to know when you're just letting your mind focus on the discomfort. Like my knees always hurt sitting, but my knee always hurts, period. So, and so you talk to your physical therapist, and the physical therapist says, yeah, it'd be good if you wouldn't sit like that. And then you choose. So I am much more comfortable sitting like this than on a chair. My knee's not any happier on a chair. I'm sure it's better for it, but my back then hurts, and so it's a lesser of evils. But so it's just, but it's about knowing, am I just focusing on the discomfort? If I try to focus on the breath, will it fall to the background? Can I focus, spend a minute focusing on all the parts of my body that do not hurt, or does not hurt, do not hurt, all the parts that do not hurt, to see if then the discomfort falls to the background. I occasionally get leg cramps, and I have to deal with them. I have to move my legs. So, but it's just a matter of developing that inner wisdom, of knowing when it's just another distraction. And then if we don't keep giving into it, we can learn to just tolerate it and just fall to the background. And we all have aches and pains that we just forget about. Yeah, what else is new? But then if there's something new that arises, then you might need to check that out. Does that help at all?
Yes.
It's not easy to, because at first, we will find 3 billion reasons why we can't stay still and just focus on our breath. It's unbelievable how good we are at it. But that's true with so many things. How often do you get distracted from many things you're trying to do, and it's just that, you'd rather think about something else, because we're in the habit of that, not because we enjoy doing something else. It's just simply we're in the habit that as soon as we have the slightest dissatisfaction, we try to do something else. We just want to end the dissatisfaction as fast as possible. And just the change to something else very momentarily relieves that dissatisfaction. And then a new one arises. And so then we just something else. So this part of this habit is learning how to just wait, to discover the impermanence of our thoughts, of our physical sensations, learn how to tolerate that. Because it has some, what would be the advantage of doing that?
Is that a rhetorical or?
I never ask rhetorical questions.
So training for real life situations. If you can tolerate something while you're sitting, you can tolerate it in real life.
Yeah, and the more we're familiar with tolerating small stuff, eventually we'll get better at tolerating big stuff. If we don't let the small stuff get to us, it just makes everything a little easier. So it's just about, learning how to not follow that desire. Oh, I'm hot. Let's change the temperature. Oh, I'm cold. Let's change the temperature. Oh, I don't like this chair. Let's change chairs. Oh, I don't like this book. Let's change it. Oh, I don't like this channel. Let's change this channel. Oh, I don't like this. It's really interesting. Like one practice, a really simple practice, is to not touch your air conditioning thing in your car. That if it gets too cold, just tolerate it. If it's too hot, just tolerate it. Try to extend the length of time between that wish for it to be different and acting on it. Because that feeds impatience. Feeds this so I know it very well. It feeds this sense of that there's something that has to be fixed or I cannot relax. Well, there's always going to be something that needs to be fixed. Don't get old. So, so we need to learn how that this constant chasing after slightly better makes us miserable. That's part of the way our mind contributes to our suffering. But first we have to notice what's going on in the mind. And so first we need to tell our mind to pay attention to what we want it to pay attention to, and then you bring that through your day and you're able to start noticing what's going on in my mind. Yeah, that's right, I want to notice. Not judge, not necessarily change anything, just notice. Oh, I'm kind of in a negative mindset today. Maybe I need to start focusing on some nice things, and maybe that will uplift my spirit.
Yeah. Isn't that just part of studying ourselves with the three poisons? Basically, it's the overemphasis of how discomforting it is, how pleasant it is, and that's sort of micro study of
The afflictions. Yeah, and we'll be doing meditations on those kinds of things. So for those of you who took Mind in Its Potential, we will be talking about those states of mind and how meditation can help us investigate. So, okay. All right, enough of me. So I encourage you to, make a commitment to trying to do a simple breath meditation every day for the month of September, during this course. And just, and another thing that's very helpful is to start, when you wake up, not literally when you wake up, although it's a great habit to get into, but start writing down your motivation for the day. Just, what's important to you, to help you remember it. Any leftover questions? We good? That time. Okay. So take a moment to rejoice that you made and you made an intention to show up to this class. You showed up to this class. You participated in this class. And that, just even being curious that maybe it's possible to change my mind, just think of the whole world with that. This is a very beneficial activity. So you really, feel good about it. It's like, whatever reason, curious, it's just this is how things start to change. So it's really wonderful. So rejoice in that, and rejoice that you weren't the only person in the room, that the other people were doing it too. That's good news. And then whatever positive results this kind of effort might bring, dedicated to the benefit of all suffering sentient beings, so that they too, someday will have a more peaceful, calm mind. Okay? Thanks, Ralph.
And did everybody put their name and email on the?
No.